Okay, I think we're ready to go. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Tailwind's TMS Features 2019 in the Rearview and 2020 Vision. In today's presentation, we'll get you up to speed on the new Tailwind TMS features that you've already or have already been added and will be added in 2020 that you can use in your day-to-day to be more effective in running your trucking company or freight brokerage. And it even looks like we have a few folks here that do both out of Tailwind, which is great. Also looking at the list of people that are here, we even seem to have a few competitors listening in to see what we're up to, which is very flattering. Now we're aiming for today's webinar to take approximately 30 to 35 minutes, so we'll have 10 minutes at the end for any questions that you may have. And before we get right into the presentation, I wanted to run a quick poll to find out how those 2020 New Year's resolutions are coming along. So let me just get that ready here for us. So are they going great? Are you wavering a bit, but overall sticking to them? Or do you say resolutions, measolutions? How are yours coming along there, Kyle?
Mine are going okay. I generally will go resolutions, resolutions, but this year I did decide to put some in, and I feel like I'm keeping track on those so far. What about you?
I'm doing okay so far. I've kind of wavered a bit, but you know I'm sticking to getting more of those vegetables in and stuff like that. So you know, yeah, trying to take care of myself there. So let's take a look and see how folks are doing. Looks like most have got their information in. So let's close the poll, and I'll share those results so people can see how we're doing. So we got a lot of people doing great so far, almost half, which is awesome. Some wavering, so you know, but you know that's 75% right there that are doing all right, and some just say you know whatever. Don't need to really focus on them. So you know that maybe they are perfect the way that they are. So you know that's good too. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. There's a bit of fun there. Now, just for a bit of initial housekeeping, we have the chat feature enabled at the bottom right of your screen. So as questions come along to you, please send them through to us, and we'll try and answer them all during our Q&A at the end. And if there are any that we can't get to, we will definitely reach out to you after the webinar. And to let you know, we'll also get you a link to the webinar recording in the next day or so, so you and your colleagues can watch it whenever works for you. And for those of you that are new, I wanted to give you a bit of an introduction about who we are at Tailwind. So Tailwind is a comprehensive transportation management system that helps you run your freight business more efficiently and effectively. Our goal is to help those running their trucking companies and freight brokerages improve their profit, increase their cash flow, and ultimately give them a bit more time at the end of the day to help them feel the wind at their back. And as for us talking heads here, I'm Brad, Tailwind's Marketing Director. You'll often see emails from me about these webinars as well as other announcements about what we're up to at Tailwind. And our webinar today will be led by Mr. Kyle Shaw. Kyle is one of our longest serving team members, and he's quickly approaching 12 years here at Tailwind. Starting out in our support team, he's taken on several roles over his tenure, but regardless of what he's stepped up to, he's always maintained his focus on being an advocate for our customers. Now, as the Director of Product Design and Delivery, he's the driving force behind how we enhance the Tailwind TMS to help you be more successful in your business. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Kyle.
Perfect. Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone, and thanks again for joining us today. As Brad mentioned, I am the Director of Product Design and Delivery here at Tailwind. The title sounds rather complicated, but quite simply, I'm the conduit between customers and our development team. I liken it to being a translator, taking things from trucking terms and putting them into technical, aka nerd language, so that our dev team can build it. I started out in logistics by working in a 3PL warehouse, doing pick and pack of orders while saving to go to BCIT for my degree. I didn't know at the time that I would end up where I am today, having spent the last 11 and a half years here at Tailwind in a completely unrelated field to what I went to school for. As it's the start of the new year, I wanted to spend today highlighting some of the key features that we released in 2019, as well as going over the roadmap or vision for 2020. Now to note, while many of these features are already in development, most notably our integration with QuickBooks Desktop due to be released next week, and EDI functionality later in February. I caveat that some of these development priorities may change given customer feedback and changes in market requirements. So starting with 2019, we were able to release 23 new versions of the software. While some of these releases only contain fixes or minor enhancements to the application, I'm going to spend the next few minutes reviewing some of the key features our customers were excited to see in 2019. You're likely to be using a few of them yourselves. So our QuickBooks Online integration. While we had previously built an integration to QuickBooks Online, the transactions were being sent from Tailwind across as journal entries. While we thought this would have made things easier from an accounting perspective, in hindsight, we were wrong. We heard a lot of feedback from the community stating that it was difficult to reconcile transactions because the associated payments didn't directly link to each other. Because of this, we went back and completely rewrote the integration so that items from Tailwind matched corresponding items in QuickBooks, i.e. invoices then went to invoices, bills went to bills, payments, et cetera, et cetera. In addition to being able to easily reconcile your accounts, it provides you the ability to take advantage of the advanced reporting features within QuickBooks as they're primarily built around transactions and not journal entries. To streamline your workflow, we added the functionality to allow companies to set the default subject and body of the outbound emails when documents are sent from the program based on the document type of document being sent. So for example, if you'd like to use a company-wide template when invoicing all of your customers, that can now easily be configured with inside of Tailwind. Thankfully, manually entering recurring expenses is now a thing of the past. You can easily schedule bills to be created automatically, which saves you time and reduces the risks of mistakes being made during additional data entry steps. So say, for example, you have your insurance bills or deductions that need to be created once a month. These can now be created and available to pay or deduct from your owner ops pay automatically. You no longer need to remember to create that each pay period. In order to onboard new owner operators, there are a few records that need to be created prior to using them on a dispatch, including their personnel records, an owner op record, and any equipment records that they also own. You're now able to create all of these all in one step rather than having to create them all individually and then have to manually link them all together afterwards. When we used this and used a few test subjects to go through the new create process, it cut the time needed for a basic onboard by over 50%. And now you don't have to worry, no test subjects were harmed during this process. Often the trailer and driver that were associated, to a unit will continue to be the same used on the next trip that unit's assigned to. You now have the ability and option to keep those linked to each other so that the tractor doesn't have to be assigned each time. So again, saving time and reducing the potential for any data entry mistakes. While we all have a lot to do every day, and definitely have a lot on my plate, I don't know what I would be able to function without having my task list remind me what I should focus on next. While the Tailwind TMS did have a task list prior to the start of 2019, it was an area of the application that wasn't used too much. To say the least, it was underwhelming. We made a few improvements to that, and now it's made it much, much easier to use. The list has been revamped so that it now includes statuses, filtering, and sorting, much like the rest of the application. Some of our customers provided feedback that they had contracted lanes, and as such, they had reoccurring shipments within those lanes. In our most recent update we released a few weeks ago, we added the ability for multiple copies of the same shipment to be generated at your desired intervals. So for example, if you have the same move happening for the next 10 weeks, i.e. on every Wednesday, you can then create 10 copies with the date staggered correctly. Knowing where and when your assets are available is critical to any transportation company. And that's why we created the weekly view for you to go in and view this information at a glance. Here you can see a screenshot from our training database. And in this screenshot, you can see a view of our company's tractor statuses. Currently, Unit 1003 is assigned to Dispatch 62, which is scheduled to deliver in Portland, Oregon. You'll also see on the left-hand side the most recent update of the unit provided from their dispatch, And by looking at this list, you'll see that there are a few units that haven't been moving recently, which is never a good sign. You can switch between tractors, trailers, and drivers up at the top right-hand corner to get a quick overview of all of your various different assets. That wraps things up for 2019. Brad, I believe you had a question for the audience now, correct?
I do indeed, Kyle. Thank you very much. So we got the poll question. I'd like to find out what 2019 feature our Tailwind users in our audience are using most, or if you're not using them, are you most excited about? I'll just launch that there. So is it the QuickBooks Online update, the email templates and the time that they'll save you? Is it staying more organized with better task lists, scheduling your orders ahead of time with order scheduling, or is it the asset status calendar view? So seeing where your tractors, trailers, and drivers are in a given week. I think this should be really good feedback for our development team too, to see what the general feeling is out there.
Yeah, this one I'm very excited to see what those results are for sure.
We'll give people a couple more seconds here to vote. Looks like we're just over 70% now, so that's very promising. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. I don't know if you're looking at some of the results as they're coming in, Kyle, but maybe I'm just the only one that can see it.
I was going to say, I don't think I can see them until you publish them.
Oh, this is exciting. All right, looks like most have voted now, so I'll close the poll and share those results with you.
Okay.
So QuickBooks Online looks like it's a big one, as well as order scheduling with email templates, not too far back there. The task list, which you were so excited about, seems to be further down the list, but I guess people are very organized anyway. All right, so I'll hide those and get back to the presentation. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thanks, Brad. So now what we'll do is we'll look into our crystal ball and see what features you can expect from us in 2020 and moving forward here. Now, we should note that our roadmap is fluid. As we talked about earlier, it does change. It is somewhat dependent on what the industry demands. So while some of these features are indeed imminent, others may shift down based on market and customer priorities. The first set that we're going to be going through are our Q1 priorities, followed by our Q2 and on throughout the rest of the year. Inter-dispatch miles. So a key performance indicator that all trucking companies need to keep an eye on is the ratio of their empty versus loaded miles. A truck that's running empty isn't driving any revenue for your business. So as such, we've made it easier for you to create and track empty legs for your trucks from the previous dispatch that they were assigned to, so you can easily and accurately determine and report on the number of empty miles your fleet is running. Ideally, finding ways to lower the number of empty miles that you're traveling. Sometimes a vendor will send you an invoice that includes details for multiple bills that you've created in the system, much like how we have our outbound batch invoicing. When you're invoicing your customers, you might receive it the same way. With the changes we've made, you'll now be able to receive them all in one step rather than going through each one individually. This one right now is in its final testing, essentially, and Brad's going to give me control so that I can do a demonstration in terms of how it worked in the current system. And then I'm also logged into our QA site, so I can show you the differences between the two and what those changes look like. Brad, have you switched that over there now?
Yeah, you should be able to take it now.
I do see that. So Brad, are you able to see my screen there okay?
I can, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So I have two tabs open up here in my browser. First one is how it looks in the current iteration. So you can see here it gives us the ability to go through, choose what our vendor is here, and I'm just going to choose 123 transport. As it works right now, it gives us the ability to choose our existing bills or do a new bill. In this case, I'm going to choose existing. From here, it gives us the option to select one and only one of these bills. So if I wanted to, I would go in and choose the bill related to trip 16 here. It then gives me the ability to fill in my reference numbers, amounts, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go through the whole process just for the sake of time here, guys. But if I jump over to our next tab here, you'll see that the UI has changed a little bit, hopefully streamlining that process for us here. So what I'll do now is same thing. I'll choose my vendor. On this screen, it now gives us the ability to fill in those reference numbers prior to, under the assumption that it's going to be done for all of the different bills. So I'm just going to fill in the required fields. Same choose existing bill option exists. But when I do that, now it gives me the ability to go through, and instead of being checkboxes, we now can toggle on multiple different items at a time. It does still give us the ability to edit those, and when we go through and process it, and because right now I don't have my amounts essentially balancing, it won't allow me to proceed. But if I had entered in 3,000, it would then allow me to go on filling in all of the same information that we have here to all of the bills that we've checked off. So hopefully improving that efficiency for you guys there. So instead of having to go into each one individually here multiple different times, it's all now done in one step. And Brad, you can go ahead and take control there again.
Awesome. Can you see the other screen though?
Yep.
The presentation screen? Excellent. All right, I'll move on to our next point then.
Perfect. So this is one that we are very excited to be talking to you guys about. It is in our final testing right now and is scheduled to be deployed very soon. By very soon, we're hoping next week. We've partnered with a proven technology provider whose application will allow customers to export their transactional data from Tailwind into Excel files that can be easily mapped and imported into QuickBooks Desktop. This integration, much like our QuickBooks Online, will prevent duplicate data entry from Tailwind and QuickBooks Desktop, makes reconciliation easier by matching those payments associated to their records, allows you to import invoices, bills, and those corresponding payments, provides a full view of your business's financial health, and gives you the ability to maintain both QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, whichever system works best for your business. A lot of customers are currently, and prospects are currently using QuickBooks Desktop and are not wanting to make that switch over to the online system at this point. So this is just something that'll help with that moving forward here. We're also in the final testing of our EDI integration, which will allow you to work with customers or shippers that are requiring you to accept load tenders, provide status updates, and invoice them via EDI. For those that are unfamiliar with EDI, this is the electronic exchange of information between two systems, traditionally communicated on paper. So some of the key benefits to implementing EDI are improved data speed and accuracy, increased customer satisfaction, better informed decision making, enhanced business partnerships with those that you're working with, improved supply chain efficiency, improved operational efficiencies, and just the overall visibility gained into your order and delivering process. The ELD mandate in full effect for our friends down in the US and the looming implementation here up in Canada next year. Tailwind is creating integration with Samsara to streamline workflows with your fleet, specifically surrounding GPS and hours of service. Samsara is recognized as one of the fastest growing ELD providers. Their business has been proven to lower fuel consumption, prevent accidents, automate manual processes, and their offering includes vehicle telematics, driver safety, mobile workflows, and compliance and asset tracking. So those are the high-level things that we're working on for Q1, and now we'll go through some of the things that are scheduled for Q2 and beyond. We're going to continue to work on making enhancements to our dispatch workflows to make sure that it's efficient as possible. Major use cases for this are when performing switches, drops, or rearranging route plans. For those that are doing some of that partial LTL where they're dropping at third-party locations. We want to try and bring down the time it takes to do this type of dispatching by an additional 50% moving forward. We're going to be looking to expand the Tailwind system by building an integration that will provide real-time location and status information for containers moving in North America. No longer will you need to log into multiple different websites to track down where those containers might be. Again, giving you more time to plan arrivals, manage your cargo and collaborate directly with your partners to enhance that relationship moving forward. We're also planning on doing an integration with an ACI provider for those of you that are handling cross-border freight. This integration will allow you to directly push data to both the CBSA and or CBP for clearance of freight without having to do the duplicate data entry into multiple systems. Again, just streamlining. We know that factoring plays an important role for a number of transportation companies, so we'll be integrating directly with Apex Capital for their factoring services, as well as their included internal load board. We're also speaking with a few other factoring services, which are on today's call. Hi, guys. Ultimately, we want to provide you with the access to partners that will best serve the needs of your business. While we understand that Apex is one, there are a number of them out there that you guys might already be working with as well. In order to keep up to date with some of the latest technology, we're going to be re-engineering our POD Complete app. This does involve us rewriting our entire code base to make it much more scalable for future projects. At first, we're going to be implementing updated UI elements. It will look more modern, so that's our first step. But over the course of the year, we're going to be continuing to add additional functionality just to round out that application. For our users that have contracted rates with customers or shippers that they might work with, we're going to be adding a module that will allow you to set up those specific lanes and or shipment pricing. So that automatically, when you're creating your orders within the system, the revenue lines will be generated for you. So again, easing that duplicate data entry, reducing the risks of errors when entering that in, and just overall improvements to efficiencies on that end of things. Tailwind is also going to be looking to establish an integration with a maintenance software technology provider, so you can keep track of preventative maintenance schedules and related equipment expenses. For those of you that may have your own internal shop, this will also give you the ability to keep track of repair orders and related inventory stocks. With this, you'll be able to get a better understanding of that true cost per mile of your fleet, as the data will be coming back into Tailwind on that side of things. We're going to be working and integrating with a few industry leading service providers that will streamline your driver onboarding process as well. This is going to automate that process so that it ensures that drivers that you hire or contract are in good standing with their documents. These integrations will also allow you to perform background checks on the fly. Ultimately, the goal here is to reduce the time between finding a new driver and them actually driving it for you. We've heard that some people it takes a few weeks for that to happen. With the changes we're looking to implement, we're hoping that we can get this process down to a few days. We're going to also be working with Easy Check-in, which is an app-less solution that will allow carriers to provide real-time updates as to the statuses of the pickup and delivery of their freight. With Easy Check-in, you'll no longer need to perform manual check calls, allowing you to focus on winning more business instead. We'll also be looking at adding another visibility solution provided by Trucker Tools called Load Track, designed to provide small to mid-sized freight brokers the opportunity to leverage the Trucker Tools Drivers app, which is in the hands of, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but a substantial amount of drivers out in the industry. Brokers can receive automated truck location updates every 5 minutes from those drivers, allowing tracking compliance success rates between 70 to 90%. Brad, I believe you had a final poll question that you wanted to get into before we got into the Q&A. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I wanted to turn this back to the audience for a second and ask what 2020 features are you most excited about or think would be most beneficial to you? We went over quite a few, but I only actually have room for 5 in the poll question. But you can choose more than one here, so let me just launch that. So yeah, which 2020 feature are you most excited about? Is it QuickBooks, the desktop integration, maybe the EDI capabilities, the ELD integration that we have coming up, the Samsara, auto rating, so that's the automatic pricing generated for orders, or the quick driver onboarding? All right, let's see. Give people a couple seconds here. Yeah, this should be really useful for us as well. So thank you very much for getting us that. Oh, and the one that I didn't have room for there, the ACI, I'm getting feedback that that was a great one too, just in the question section. So thanks a lot for that, Mike. All right, looks like we just give a couple more seconds here. I think most have voted now, so close the poll and let's share those results. QuickBooks Desktop and the EDI are really key ones there for a lot of folks on the call today or on the webinar today. Auto rating takes a close third. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Hopefully you can see the screen. All right, so I know we covered a lot today, and as you can see, like all of you, Tailwind is very much driven by an ethos of continuous improvement, which is why we love being able to offer our TMS as a subscription. So you basically always get the latest software each time you log in. So if you're new to Tailwind, I do invite you to try out the system to see how it can work in your business. We do offer a free trial, and you can get started with that in under a minute. And to let people know for those new trialers that become Tailwind subscribers before the end of January, we'll even throw in a free Sure Start package, which is a $399 value free to really set you up for a successful 2020. So just let us know that you attended this webinar and we can get that set up for you too. And for those that are already Tailwind customers, and if you're interested in getting a system review to ensure you're taking full use of our latest features, let us know and we can arrange a time to find ways to enhance your current setup. We're also offering this as a free service to those of you interested in taking advantage of a prepaid discount, where you also get a chance to get 10% off your currently monthly subscription costs. So as a final full poll question here, I want to see just how can we help? So might you be interested in starting a free 15-day trial? Would you like to just get a tour of the system beforehand? Maybe you'd like to discuss options for a systems review or what a prepaid discount and with a free system review would look like for you, or maybe you're good for the time being. Just let us know and we can get things set up properly afterwards. And don't worry, we're not going to be sharing this poll question afterwards, so you just feel free to answer as you would here. All right, looks like we're getting most people in there. Give a couple more seconds there. Right on. Cool, thanks. I'm just going to close that up so we can get moving. And then if there's additional questions or people have additional requests, we can always send those requests into us directly too. All right, so thank you again for that, folks. And with that, let's get into some of the questions that have been coming in. So starting right off here, let me also, with auto rating, can we do by pallet or CWT? Kyle.
So yeah, when we get into doing the rating side of things, it would be dependent on what the units could be. So you could either do it by weight or package count, piece count, and scale it depending on those specifications for sure.
On the EDI project, when will Tailwind share costs and integration professional services with trading partners? I guess that would be more coming after the release there. Kyle, do you have any insights?
Sorry, do you want to repeat that one for me?
Yeah, on the EDI project, when will Tailwind share costs and integration professional services with trading partners? Christopher, I might need to get a bit more information, but we can reach out to you after the presentation there just to make sure that we get the proper answer for you on that one.
Definitely.
All right. Somebody's asking for an example on the email templates and how that works. Kyle, would you be able to you have a few seconds to show us how that works?
I definitely
Yeah.
can. If you want to make me presenter, I'll just switch over here.
Sure. There we go.
Okie dokie. Can you see my screen okay?
I can, yeah.
All right. So in order to set up the email templates in the system, it's really, really easy. So all you want to do is go up to the gear in the top right-hand corner here, and then under configuration, it'll be found underneath documents here. You'll see a section for email templates. So from within here, you'll see the very first item gives us our document type that the email is going to be going out with. So by default, it's the invoice, but you can see all the various different documents that we have that go out in the system. Subject and body. On the right-hand side here, we have our smart tags. And depending on what type of document you've selected, there'll be different smart tags available. So basically what you do is you just fill in what that subject's going to be. And if you want to have something that's pre-populated from within the system, i.e. the invoice number or the contact, you'd simply just copy that smart tag, paste it in much like we've done here, and then save that to template. So that would be how you would create it. And if you wanted to go through and just see how that goes, I'm just going to go into an order here quick to show what it looks like. And my apologies for the delay here, guys. The computer that I'm doing this webinar on is not the best by any means, so it's going to take a minute for it to load up. Perfect. So now if I go into this guy here, yeah, it's still in transit, but let's just pretend that we're going to be emailing out the invoice early. And if I click on print invoice email, you'll see that it's populated that information in here. So please look at our invoice, pulls in our invoice number based off that smart tag with the body in. So this is the default. You can always go in and override this information if you want to add extra details, but it gives you that framework to go off of. There we go.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hopefully that answers your question for you. Roman has a question here. With the ACI integration, do we see the status of the clearance of our shipments through Tailwind?
Yeah, the goal would be to bring back that information. So we would transmit your guys' ACI across to the border side of things. And then if it is approved, not approved, et cetera, or there's issues with it, that information would come back and you'd be able to see potentially why, if it was missing information, et cetera.
And the maintenance module, will that include inspection forms like 90-day inspections?
That's a great question. Then we haven't fully spec'd out what the maintenance module is going to look like at this point. I invite that you provide that feedback to our support team, and what they would do is they would collect that, and as we get a little bit more into the weeds on that, we would look at any feedback that we've gotten in from our customers in terms of what we would want to build out, but that definitely could be something that could be included for sure.
Somebody's interested in that Sure Start package. Looks like one of the new folks there, wondering what's included in that. That's one of the ones I can speak to. So basically, yeah, I'm not the technical guy. Remember, I'm the marketing guy. Yeah, basically, hold your hand through the implementation with free group training, help uploading records, a customized one-on-one training session for your Tailwind admin, a custom training session for your users, help setting up your customer and carrier portals if you're getting the enterprise version of the product, configuration of the POD Complete mobile app, and finally really getting those branded documents set up for you, so your logo added to your orders and trips and manifests and those pieces there. So really get you up and running with Tailwind faster and more effectively right out of the gate.
Yep.
All right, looks like we got a question regarding trucker tools. Is that more of a Q2 or Q4 projection? Somebody's Someone's anticipating that one. Looking forward to it.
That's a great question. No, as it sits right now, it is in our roadmap for between Q2 Q3. And again, will be dependent on whether or not we get a lot of feedback from customers on that one. As it sits right now, it leans towards the end of Q2 is what we're looking at.
Yeah, so because we do develop based on customer feedback as well, if there is demand from our customers there or from our trialers, let us know what you're looking for, because those pieces we try to funnel those into the application as much as possible. Somebody's asking about the ELD service and the costs associated with that.
Yeah, so with the ELD service, the relationship that you'll have will be directly with Samsara. And off the top of my head, I don't have their pricing in terms of what it looks like. But if you're interested in learning more about that, we can definitely put you in contact with the people that we have been working with on that side. And you could talk to them directly about what that pricing would be. So yeah, we can definitely get that if you're interested.
Now, it looks like there's a few pricing related questions here. Is there cost associated with the Apex Capital Load Board?
Oh, yeah. So with the Apex Capital Load Board, that is an included feature if you are using their services. It's kind of one of those nice to haves that they include with it. So there isn't an additional cost related to that one directly in terms of things.
Nice. And EDI costs, what are the costs associated with that?
Yeah, so with that one, it is very dependent on the relationship that you have with your supplier or customer that's requiring you to do the ELD, how they work. Yeah, so it's based off of the number of transactions that you're going to be doing with them. So if you're doing a large volume of loads and doing the full gamut of different document types that you're sending back and forth, i.e. load tenders, invoices, status updates, etc., it will change the pricing structure to kind of depending on that. And again, with that, we can get you in touch with our salespeople over at Kleinschmidt, who is our partner on the EDI side of things, and they can talk the details with you depending on your situation.
Yeah. And back to the ELD, is Samsara the only ELD provider you'll be working with? Thanks for that question there, James.
Yeah, so as it sits right now, they are the first one that we are going to be working with, depending on what the demand is in terms of who we're going to be looking at. We are anticipating building out more in the future. We're just kind of going with them first and then kind of getting market feedback from customers and stuff to see who we're going to build out second, third, etc. So yes, there will be more coming down the pipe.
Yeah, so definitely let us know if there are folks that you are working with, and then we can kind of take a look and see if there's so many that are working with a certain group, then that's the next integration that come up. Somebody's asking, Mike is asking, how will the Streamline driver onboarding work?
So with that one we haven't worked through the full specs on that one as well. So that one is still very early phases. That one is something that's scheduled more towards Q3, Q4 of what that might look like. In terms of things, it could involve a portal for you to have drivers log into, to submit some applications, those sorts of things. But it's very early stages for that. But it is on our roadmap as something that we want to investigate and spec out and build this year.
Oh. All right, looks like our questions are slowing down. So yeah, I'll probably just move on because we're also coming up on time. But if you do have additional questions, our email is up on the screen there. Phone number is there on the screen, 1-866-441-0441, info@tailwindtms.com, or visiting our site, tailwindtms.com. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, looks like we've got one last one. We'll sneak that one in.
Sneak it in.
Yeah, we'll get it in. You're getting there, Herman. How long is the typical time for integration of upcoming ELD you would be adding? In other words, will they take as long as Samsara?
Yeah, and that depends on what the requirements are going to be with the ELD provider. If it's just getting the ELD information, that's going to be obviously a lot less time than building out a full integration in terms of different workflows and those sorts of things. What we're looking at with the Samsara side of things, it is essentially going to be a full circle of services. So sending across your trip details, from Tailwind to those devices, being able to update that information back into our side of things, as well as getting the hours of service, very basic in terms of what is going to come across from what's remaining in terms of their cycle times and stuff like that. But essentially, with us setting all this up right now, we've made it so that it's fairly agnostic and easy to plug into for future ones. So that was the goal with this.
Right on. So it looks like that we're coming up on time here. So we will, if there's additional questions that do come in, please let us know and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also to let you know, there is a super short 3-question survey at the end of this webinar. So if you could take 20 seconds out to complete it, it definitely helps us for future webinars. Mike, thanks for giving us that fantastic job there too. That's always nice to hear. And with that, thank you again for joining us. Well, we wish you all the best in 2020 and hope to see you at our next webinar. See you guys.
All right.